The factory floor is dark. Not the darkness of night, but the darkness of iron, thick, industrial, smelling of coal dust and fear. Somewhere in the blackness, a furnace roars. The sound is not human. It is the voice of war being born. This is where they made the Katyusha. Not in gleaming halls. Not in laboratories. In the bowels of Soviet industry, where men worked 20-hour shifts under NKVD supervision, where the air tasted like metal shavings and diesel exhaust, where every weld, every bolt, every launcher rail was a prayer that the Reich would not reach Moscow. The Katyusha BM-13. Stalin's organ. The screaming Mimi. The weapon that turned the sky into fire. This is the story of how it was made. June 1941. The blueprint of desperation. The engineers arrive at Factory 37 3 days after Operation Barbarossa begins. They carry rolled blueprints under their arms, stamped with red ink, urgent. The factory director, a man named Petrov with hands like scarred leather, unrolls them on a table still warm from the morning's tea. What he sees makes no sense. 16 rails. Mounted on a ZIS-6 truck chassis. Each rail designed to launch a 132mm M-13 rocket. No guidance system. No precision targeting. Just raw, unstoppable volume of fire. This is madness, Petrov says. The lead engineer, a woman named Lyudmila Pavlichenko, not the sniper, but her namesake, a ballistic specialist from Moscow, does not blink. This is survival. The M-13 rocket was not new. It had been tested in secrecy since 1938, developed by Andrei Kostakov and his team at the Reactive Scientific Research Institute. What was new was the delivery system. Mounting multiple launchers on a mobile truck platform, creating a weapon that could unleash hell and vanish before counter-battery fire arrived. 16 rockets. 8 seconds of firing. 4.35 square kilometers saturated with high explosive. The Germans called it Stalin Orgel, Stalin's organ, because of the sound. That unholy shriek as the rockets left their rails, a wailing chorus of destruction that turned men's bowels to water. But first it had to be built. The assembly line of fire. Factory 37 was not built for rocket launchers. It was built for agricultural machinery, tractors, threshers, the tools of collectivization. But in June 1941, every Soviet factory became a war factory. The lathes that shaped plow blades now shaped launcher rails. The welding stations that joined harvester frames now joined weapon mounts. The work begins at 0400 hours. The workers, mostly women now, the men already at the front, file in through gates guarded by NKVD troops with PPSH submachine guns. There are no windows. Secrecy is absolute. Even the workers do not know what they are building, only their small section of it. In Bay 7, they fabricate the rails. Steel tubing, 5 meters long, precisely machined to guide the rocket's launch lugs. Each rail must be perfectly straight. Any deviation and the rocket tumbles, explodes on launch, kills the crew. Maria, 19 years old, measures each rail with calipers. Her fingers are black with machine oil. She has not seen her family in Kursk since the invasion began. She does not know if they are alive. She measures. She mocks. She passes the rail to the next station. In Bay 12, they mount the rails to the frame. 16 rails in 2 rows of 8, angled at 45 degrees. The frame itself is welded steel, reinforced to handle the catastrophic recoil of simultaneous launch. When all 16 rockets fire at once, the truck chassis shudders like a wounded animal. The suspension must hold. The frame must not crack. Victor, 54, a welder who survived the Finnish Winter War with frostbitten toes, works the torch. His hands do not shake anymore. He has seen what happens when a weld fails under pressure. The frame collapses, the rockets misfire, men burn. He welds. He inspects. He welds again. The ZIS-6 truck arrives from the GAZ plant in Gorky. 6-cylinder, 73 horsepower, capable of 50 kilometers per hour on decent roads. In mud, in snow, in the hell of the Eastern Front, it crawls. But it moves. And movement is life. The launcher frame is bolted to the truck bed. No hydraulics. No powered elevation. The crew aims by jacking the rear wheels, tilting the entire vehicle. Crude. Effective. The rocket, BM-13. The rocket itself is a marvel of brutal simplicity. Length, 1.4 meters. Weight, 42.5 kilograms. Warhead, 4.9 kilograms of TNT. Range, 8.5 kilometers. No guidance. No fins for stabilization until mid-flight. The rocket spins in flight, stabilized by tangential nozzles in the motor. It is not accurate. It is not meant to be. The Katyusha does not assassinate. It annihilates. In the munitions plant 40 kilometers away, women pack the warheads. They wear no protective gear. TNT dust coats their hair, turns their skin yellow. They joke that they glow in the dark. Some of them do not joke anymore. Jaundice. Liver failure. The cost of production. The rockets arrive at Factory 37 in wooden crates, stenciled with Cyrillic warnings, explosive. They are loaded onto the rails by hand, slotted into the guide channels, locked with simple metal clips. 16 rockets. 680 kilograms of high explosive. On a truck. One stray spark and the entire vehicle becomes a fireball. July 14, 1941, the first battery. The first operational Katyusha battery rolls out of Factory 37 under cover of darkness. 7 launchers. BM-13 systems mounted on ZIS, 6 trucks. Escorted by NKVD internal troops, they drive east toward the front. The crews have received 3 days of training. They know how to aim by tilting the truck. They know how to fire the electrical ignition system, 16 buttons, one for each rail, pressed in rapid sequence or all at once. They know to run after firing, because the smoke trail marks them for artillery. What they do not know is whether the weapon will work. On July 14, 1941, at 1515 hours, near the town of Orsha in Belarus, they find out. The target, a Wehrmacht assembly area. German infantry and armor concentrating for a push toward Smolensk. Intelligence reports estimate 200 vehicles, 1,500 men. The Katyusha battery rolls into position 7 kilometers away. The crews tilt the trucks, elevate the rails, load the rockets. Captain Ivan Flerov, battery commander, checks his watch. 1,515 hours. Fire. The sound is not like artillery. Artillery booms, a sharp crack followed by thunder. The Katyusha screams. A rising, wailing shriek as 16 rockets ignite simultaneously, as the launcher rails belch smoke and flame, as the truck chassis bucks and groans. 7 trucks. 112 rockets. 8 seconds of launch. The German position ceases to exist. Survivors report a sound like the world ending, a noise that turned their minds inside out. Then fire. Fire from the sky. Trucks exploding, ammunition cooking off, men running in flames. The Katyusha battery is gone before the first German shell lands in their firing position. They drive into the forest, reload, vanish. Stalin reads the report that evening. He orders production increased tenfold. The human cost. By August, Factory 37 runs 24 hours a day. The workers sleep in shifts on the factory floor. Food is rationed, black bread, thin soup, sometimes dried fish. Dysentery spreads. 2 women die of exhaustion, collapsing at their stations. The NKVD buries them quietly. Alexei, 16, loses 3 fingers in a lathe accident. There is no morphine. They cauterize the stumps with a welding torch and send him back to work the next day. He operates the electrical wiring harness with his remaining hand. He does not complain. His older brother died at Kiev. Maria, the girl who measures the rails, receives a letter. It is not from her family. It is from the Red Army political commissar in her district. Her village no longer exists. The Germans burned it. She reads the letter once. Then she folds it and returns to her calipers. The rails must be straight. Evolution, BM-13N, BM-8, BM-31. By 1942, the Katyusha evolves. The BM-13N mounts on the American Lend-Lease Studebaker US-6 truck, more reliable, better off-road capability. The BM-8 fires smaller 82 mm rockets from 36 or 48 rails. The BM BM-31 launches massive 300mm rockets, each weighing 91.5 kilograms. Factory 37 adapts. New blueprints. New tooling. The same workers, older now, thinner, harder. Victor the welder trains new recruits, boys and girls who should be in school. He shows them how to check a weld, how to read the color of molten metal, how to know when the frame will hold. The Germans have better tanks, he tells them. Better planes. Better optics. But they do not have this. He pats the launcher frame. This they fear. The sound of victory. By 1945, over 10,000 Katyusha launchers have been produced. They fight at Stalingrad, at Kursk, at the Vistula-Oder offensive. They roll into Berlin. The sound of the Katyusha becomes the sound of the Red Army advancing. German troops learn to recognize it, the shriek, the wail, the moment before the world turns to fire. Some surrender at the sound alone. Factory 37 never stops. Even after Berlin falls, production continues. The Cold War is beginning. The weapon that saved the Soviet Union will now threaten the West. But the workers remember. Maria, now 23, still measures rails. Her hands shake sometimes. She dreams of her village. Victor, 58, retires in 1946. His lungs are scarred from years of welding fumes. He dies in 1950. At his funeral, someone plays a recording of a Katyusha barrage. His daughter says he smiled. The legacy. The Katyusha BM-13 was not the most advanced weapon of World War II. It was not the most accurate. But it was the most terrifying. It proved that quantity has a quality all its own. That fear is a weapon. That the sound of rockets screaming through the sky can break an army before the first warhead detonates. Factory 37 still stands in Voronezh, though it builds tractors again. The old launcher rails are long gone, melted down, repurposed. But in the archive rooms of the Russian Ministry of Defense, the blueprints remain. Stamped in red ink, urgent. Because some weapons are not just tools of war. They are the sound of survival. Epilogue. The factory floor, 1941. It is 0400 hours. The furnace roars. Maria picks up her calipers. The rail must be straight. The weld must hold. The weapon must fire. Because 2,000 kilometers away, men are dying. And this piece of steel, this launcher, this screaming organ of fire, this is how you save them. Maria measures. Victor welds. Alexei wires. The Katyusha is born. And the Reich begins to burn.